Today is Saturday, September 28th, 2019. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for week 1 of Island of the Idols. And I like that intro music.
Yeah. I'm using the same one from last time.
I know,
although
but I still
that
like
website
it.
Seems to be almost gone, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with Juke Deck, but I'm holding up my end of the bargain. I'm continuing to include a link to their website just like they request in their terms of service when you use the music. So
Okay.
yeah. Do you remember what we called the show when we first started?
The Joanne and Stacy Show?
That's right. And that's still our email. But then we quickly figured out that, whoa, hold on just a second. It's not the Joanne and Stacy Show.
Yeah.
I borrowed that pattern from some other podcasts that I was listening to. I thought, well, I don't have a better idea, so let's do this. And then we started getting feedback. We started getting other people when we requested content and comments about what they thought about what was going on after we gave our perspective and opinions. And then it dawned on me, hold on a second, this is really the Survivor. You and I are Survivor fans. We're talking about our favorite show with other Survivor fans. This is really the Survivor Fans Podcast.
Well, we never expect anybody to listen. So, and truthfully, that was in jest. When we first sat down to do it, you said, well, what are we going to call it? And I said, well, the Joanne and Stacy Show, of course. You know, I was just being funny, and you went ahead and did that. You're like, that's as good as anything.
Okay.
And that's how I remember it.
I have no doubt that that's the case.
And I thought, oh, he's actually going to do that? Okay, well, whatever. Because seriously, we really did believe it was just for us, that nobody would download.
I bring that up, and I headed in that direction because it just sort of, when you get a response like this one to this first episode, it reaffirms that so solidly, doesn't it?
Yes, that this is a podcast for Survivor fans.
Yes, let's use Chelsea's term. How many digital content creators responded this week to our call for comments?
31, I believe.
31! Digital content creator. That keeps sticking in my head. Good job, you digital content creators.
I would never even remember it, so...
It's just... I hope for her sake someone else did that. That's not her title. Oh my goodness! Enough of that. Let's. Do we need to say anything before we get started and dive into all this goodness that folks sent in this week?
Let's just dive in.
All right. First up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. And I gotta say, that was a pretty good premiere, despite getting the Boston Robert Sandra segment after the immunity challenge. But nevertheless, I'm gonna let out a great big woo! Doozy woozy, baby. And I feel for my homeboy Ronnie, but sing with me because I missed it. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, goodbye. Well, Ronnie, the curse continues for poker players on Survivor. Even though he came from the City of Champions, it isn't for him or these poker players, and he does worse than John Robert, Jim Rice, and any other. But I'm gonna miss him because I think he had potential. I gotta say, Elaine surprised the heck out of me. She read right through Ronnie at the beach there, and I love that she formed a little alliance there with Tom and Vince there. Vince surprised me a little bit too. I hope they could stay together, and Vince is one of my picks to win. Then you got the crazy Joe like Jack forming an alliance with Tom Tommy. That could be an interesting duo that goes nowhere. I don't know. The players I didn't like were Nora. Nora seems like a princess that's just there. And how about Jason? Stacey, you may call this a tactical error. I call, a cardinal sin. How do you isolate yourself that early, minutes into the game, and already he's target number one if that team loses? That is very hard to swallow. And then I like Chelsea. Missy surprised me a little bit with her alliance with the women. Loved my homegirl Molly. I think unlike Ronnie, she's going to make it far in the game if she forms the right group of alliance, and I think she'll be great. She's my Boston homegirl. And then real quick, guys, Boston Rob and Sandra, glad we didn't get too much of them, but poor Elizabeth there, she clearly got overconfident there going up against Boston Rob, and I think nerves set the tone on her too. You knew she wasn't going to beat Rob in a fire-making challenge. Not a chance, but I guess she will take that as a life lesson, and we'll see what the next person does that goes there. But wow, she lost her vote, but she dodged a bullet because it didn't matter, as it was almost a unanimous vote. This will be very interesting, guys. Controversial, yes, but intriguing. Great episode, guys. And Dan, what he did with those women there, disturbing, and I don't blame Kelly, especially when you want space. That's all I'm going to say about that. But great premiere, guys. Looking forward to hearing what everyone else has to say. Take care. Woo!
All right. Thanks, Pete. Woo. Yeah, I saw a picture, and it looked from the picture that Elizabeth was a lot closer than the TV segment led on to. The picture I saw, she had fire, and it was big enough that it was, up towards the string. It's just Rob's was too, and he had obviously gotten a head start on her and went through.
It died back down. It does that sometimes.
Yeah, that's possible. But I looked at the picture, and now you and I were just watching the episode again before we recorded, because sometimes we'll grab a bite before we go in. Yeah, and we started watching it, and then it's like, oh, we're at the end. It's like, where did the time go?
Well, we're just gonna watch it a little bit while we eat.
Put it on while we eat. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, Pete was talking about Elaine and Ronnie on the beach. Mm-hmm. I really thought that she was buying everything he said from her responses, and oh yeah, and I am totally with you, and I got your back. You got me.
Wouldn't want to play poker against her. Ronnie did, and you see what happened.
Well, and I thought that was surprising. Then when they flipped out to her saying how she really felt, that was not what I expected her to say.
No. Yeah, Ronnie said that caught him off guard. I was reading I'll include a link for it, the Dalton Ross interview with Ronnie, and he didn't know that he came across as a weasel, and I think he said something to the effect of, even I thought I was kind of weaselly in that segment. So he also said he wasn't feeling good, so he just wasn't as dialed in. He did not get his social game going.
I think a part of it was his facial expressions. I noticed he just even when he would talk about her, even when he was saying, I like Elaine, his face was scrunched up.
You're like pointing to your lip, the way his lip was resting on his teeth. And
it was like, I thought, you don't look like you like. It's what I'm seeing.
Doesn't match what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
the whole Basset Hound eye thing, and it just
and that could be because he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, so. Could have been manifesting itself that way, and because of that, he wasn't received well by others. Good deal. Thanks again, Pete. Next up, we got an email from Michael in Utah. Hello,
all right.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, all you Survivor fans. Did you see all those tools? I was overwhelmed and giddy when I saw all those tools put to use in the new camps, and the way the hatchet was sharp enough to cut bamboo. I was impressed that production would provide them and that they weren't dull or blunt. It is fitting, isn't it, that if the theme of Island of the Idols is to provide tools for the game, then to have the camp tools to go along with that theme? I never even thought of that.
No,
but
me
I
either.
get what
Good
you're
point.
saying, Michael. Yeah, good observation. He said, now here's some other observations from the game. Our vantage point gives us insight into the game that the players don't have, and I have to remind myself of that regularly. I was devastated to see the 7 Lyro tribe members target the missing 3 workers. However, I was glad to see Vokai tribe members target Jason, who disappeared on an idol hunt on day 1. I think the difference is the scope or intention of the work. Physically laboring to help your tribe's camp is unselfish, versus selfishly laboring on your own game. The way the game played out, it seems that Lyro didn't put much thought on the 3 workers after all. I loved how Elaine was so perceptive of Ronnie the Weasel and his intentions. When Elizabeth returned from Island of the Idols, I thought that she should have told the facts of the experience in an effort to strengthen the tribe. It would potentially unite and strengthen them. It could give them something to prepare for. I'm curious to know if it had occurred. Tribal Council was great because it had me on the edge of my seat because I was cheering for Elaine and worried for her chances. Not only was Ronnie voted out, but Aaron was blindsided too. So there must have been a lot of conversation we didn't get to see. Exactly. I'll bet it went along the topic that Ronnie and Aaron think they're running the tribe, but we'll show them. Could have gone down that way for sure, huh? It was a great first episode. Jeff being out of the picture for 2 days added to the mystery, and it was well played. I'm not keen on the Sandra and Rob show. It has been my misgiving ever since it was announced. Well, that's all for now. The Survivor Fans podcast is the best out there. Keep up the great work. You guys are welcome at my fire anytime. Thanks, Michael. I love that tagline. Next up, we got a call from Noelle-n-Immie.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Noelle.
And Amy.
From Albuquerque. We really enjoyed the first episode of Island of the Idols. I want to talk about Janet because I said that she seemed like a natural leader, and I feel like she proved me right because not only did she make fire for her tribe at camp and take the lead in the challenge, leading them to a win, but also Molly and Kelly both went to her for advice about the situation with Dan, and she gave them good advice that I think made the tribe stronger. I think that Aaron will be next to go because he just really is on the outs with his tribe. He didn't vote with them. He's coming off as super aggressive. I don't know if he realizes that, and I don't think they're going to like it. What do you think, Amy? Did you want to talk about the Sandra and Rob twist?
Yeah, maybe because it's called Island of the Idols, that the other people on the tribe would think that the other people that went to Island of the Idols would have like an idol or something.
You think they believe they're going to come back with an idol and it might put a target on them?
Yeah, like an extra layer of the target.
Yeah. Did you think that was pretty cool how Elizabeth reacted when she saw Sandra and Rob come out?
Yes, I thought that was so funny. Like, she just, like, stopped.
I loved that. That was really great.
Yeah.
Who do you think will go to the Island of the Idols next?
I think it's either Tommy or Dan.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's Dan for some reason. Anyway, guys, thanks for doing the show. We'll look forward to talking to you again next week. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, Noelle. Thanks, Amy. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Shay.
Hi, Joanne. Hi, Stacy. This is Shay. I'm so glad the podcast is back. So glad that the show is back. I don't have a whole lot to say because I'm still trying to figure out everybody, but I know I really, really loved the episode. I so far don't mind the twist on the show. I actually rather enjoyed that part. And as far as standouts, I'm not really sure. I know that I liked the little trio, Vince and Elaine and that hockey guy. They seemed like an unlikely group, and I liked them together, and I like all of them individually. One thing I can't stand is how very quickly someone gets turned on if they leave camp, like that Jason Duty left. And, yeah, he was looking for an idol, but immediately he was turned on, just like that trio. I mean, what if somebody needs to go use the bathroom? I mean, all of a sudden you've got a target on your back because you couldn't hold your bowels. How fair is that? Matter of fact, my husband laughed and said, if he was out looking for an idol and he heard people coming up on him, he'd drop his pants and squat and look at them like, hey, what are you doing? You know, like they interrupted him or something. I don't know. I guess it's a good plan. Really enjoyed the show and can't wait to see what happens next. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Well, I think if you were going to do that, you wouldn't be gone as long as he was gone.
I don't know. Depends on...
Well, that's true, too.
On the particulars of the... distress. The thing about it was he took the hatchet with him, And if he didn't come back with something, because, just like the other group, because they went with Vince, because Vince was chopping down trees, they said. And you can clearly see Jason heads off with the hatchet in his hand. So if he doesn't come back with something, then
I think he did have some palm fronds.
Very suspect.
When he came back.
Yeah, I don't know why you would, that's not good cover. But I like Shay's husband's idea. You just drop trowel and cover it. Occupado. Hey.
Or at least come back around and say, don't go that way for a while. Something.
Yeah. The other thing about Jason that just makes absolutely no sense is that he said pre-season that he was worried about being perceived in a negative light. And then he just takes this huge risk, which is almost guaranteed to paint him in a negative light. It's like this guy maybe can't get out of his own way.
Well, I think he just wants to play hard, and that does trip some people up.
You pull a move like that because you're panicked. So he panicked really early. I mean, that was, they basically said that was within hours of being there.
Well, he worked out a lot, and he thought he was so physically fit, and then he walked in there, and he's one of the tiniest guys around, and maybe that had an effect on him.
Put the fear in him.
Yeah, it could have, because that wasn't his image of himself going in.
Yeah, I think he's really going to have trouble getting out of his own way. He's going to be fun to watch. I don't know that he's got a chance to win, but he's going to add some comedic relief at his current rate. Good deal. Thanks, Shay. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Jesse in Canada.
Hello. I really missed this podcast, and I'm so happy to hear you two again. Well, thank you, Jesse. I have two favorites this season. One is Tom from the Lyro tribe. He's from Canada, so I pretty much have to cheer for him.
Understood.
That's Canadian law.
Canadian law. All right.
My other favorite is Janet from the Vokai tribe. As far as day one survivors go, I think she's tough and I really love her attitude. She made fire without a flint, mad respect. Although she face-planted in the beginning of the immunity challenge, literally, not figuratively. No, you ran it back.
We've watched that quite a few times.
She was able to get up and attack the grappling hook on her first try with all that sand in her face. An absolute beauty, and I'm really hoping she does well. Now, for the person I don't like, Dan from Vokai. We all need personal space, but this guy can't keep his hands to himself, and that is one of my biggest pet peeves. The fact that Kelly had to come out and say it to him reveals how little social awareness he has. They are playing for $1 million, not to give back rubs to strangers. He called himself charming in his bio. Insert eye roll, export barf bag. I also hate his beady little eyes.
Oh, he's got that squint. He's got a bad squint.
That's all from me. Love what you two do and can't wait for the next episode. All right, thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, good one.
Up next, we've got audio from Kim in North Carolina.
Hi, this is Kim from North Carolina calling in. Couldn't get together with Cameron this time, maybe next week. First thing, I really loved that they voted Ronnie out on that tribe, that the women seemed to really be playing the game over there. That was very enjoyable to me. Also, I don't really like the theme, at least what I saw of it this week. Perhaps it'll get better, but it was pretty obvious to me that that woman should not have tried to make fire against Rob, but it just dragged on, and it seems like it's really more for new fans than old fans, but maybe I'll change my mind over time. My predictions are that I have no predictions that I have any faith in, but I really look forward to hearing what everybody has to say and watching the rest of the season. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Kim. And next up, we got Cameron.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, Survivor fans. This is Cameron from North Carolina. First things first, I'm a little bit stuffed up, so forgive me if this doesn't sound as good as it should. Right out the gate, this school year kicked off pretty hard for me, and I didn't get too much time to get into the jabbing and stuff, but that came to bite me pretty hard when I forgot my Week 1 JSFL picks. So, no USB 24 for me. It's my punishment, but I will live with it. Alright, to the show. The people within the tribe seem to get along with each other pretty well. Vokai won, but had they not, would Dan really be a target target just for being touchy. I feel like they just needed some drama to fill in there. So they had a little segment on day one idol searching and Jason. I honestly think that's a feasible strategy, but you should never ostracize yourself to the point. Have some cover, you know? I thought the challenge was pretty typical for a first episode. Use your strength, climb, and do a puzzle. Joanne and Stacy, I know you guys said Jamal looked really good. In my opinion, Jack also looked really good. He was giving me Aussie vibes in that challenge. Alright, so Island of the Idols, the twist itself. I got kind of mixed feelings. It's a neat twist that could be done again with other winners, maybe. But it almost feels like Survivor Junior this season with the so-called mentors, Boston, Rob, and Sandra. There's no marooning at first, and now someone every episode will be getting flashcards from 2 winners of the game. Who knows? Maybe it's fun for Boston and Rob and Sandra now that they get to play a real-life JSFL. You can always tell the first vote out will be either the person on the bottom or the one campaigning hard against the person on the bottom. And this episode just happened to be the latter. So the Island of the Idols twist was pretty risk-free. A single vote at the first tribal council, especially when you aren't at risk of going, isn't much of a loss. I thought it was pretty funny when Boston Rob mentioned he would have upped the ante, but Elizabeth bit immediately. That got a little chuckle out of me, but I thought it was pretty tacky when they tried turning her battling Rob into a Survivor lesson. You know, that was hasty judgment on her part. I didn't think it was hasty judgment. In my opinion, it was just a gamble, and as I already said, pretty low risk, especially for the first vote off. Definitely feel like some drama got cut out. I get the idea of a blindside twist and Ronnie getting voted out, but we didn't see anything at all explaining why Ronnie and Aaron banded together, why they voted for Vince instead of Elaine, and why they stuck together so hard. Ronnie was one of the big names coming into the season. Too bad we don't get any of his poker backstory now. Him and Jean Robert should form a club. Next time on Survivor. Looks like we'll see how Aaron got blindsided. Kelly's freaking out because maybe Dan gave her too many massages already. I'm just kidding, but fingers crossed for another pretty good season. David vs. Goliath was great. Edge of Extinction got me on the edge of my seat, no pun intended. Both did it for me, and I'm hoping for the best this season. Alright everyone, it's good to be back. Sorry this was kind of a hastily put together recording, but I'm so glad the podcast is back. I'm so glad Survivor's back. Joanne and Stacy, I look forward to it.
And we're glad to have you back, sir. I like those night sounds. Did you hear those crickets in the background?
I did not.
All right. Moving on. Next up, we got an email from Nathan in Portsmouth, Virginia. Hello, everyone. First, let me say thank you to everyone who offered their thoughts, prayers, and condolences last year via Facebook when I shared about a family tragedy. I miss sharing my feedback on each episode of Survivor, but I still listened to many of the podcasts, and hearing everyone else provided a bright spot in some very dark days. That's a common recurring theme here. I am still healing, but I am glad to be able to share my thoughts once again. So are we. All right, I'm kind of 50-50 on the idea of Sandra and Boston Rob as mentors for this season. It feels so gimmicky, but I don't hate it. I guess I'll see how it goes. My first "what is she doing" moment of the season came courtesy of Elizabeth. I'm not sure why she decided to not share what Sandra and Boston Rob were on the island of the idols. Surely someone will tell the rest of the tribe when he or she returns. Some others will then call out Elizabeth as a liar and a manipulator as a way to put a target on her back. I can understand her not sharing that she lost her vote, but I was confused about why she chose to keep the mentor's presence a secret. As always, I suppose only time will tell if her decision backfires, or if I just overthought this moment. I understand that the outcast of misfits, Elaine, Tom, and Vince, felt the need to stick together, but it made me question if any of them have a chance at winning the game. I had that same thought. Have any outcasts or misfits ever actually won? Again, perhaps I'm overthinking, and I suppose you have to take it one vote at a time, and they did come out of that vote on top, so kudos to them.
Stacy hopes so, since Vince is his USB.
That's true. No one person really stuck out to me in the first episode as a potential winner, or as a great hero, or as an infamous villain. There isn't anyone that I'm already pulling for, but there also isn't anyone who I want to be voted out either. Once again, thank you to everyone. I'm glad to be back, and I'm excited about this new season. It has to be better than the last one. Amen. Thanks, Nathan. Next up, we got a call from Crystal.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Krystle calling from Pasadena, California. I just want to say I'm so excited for a new season of Survivor and to be calling in again. I hope you all had a great summer. I just wanted to send this message really quickly because I'm about to leave on a Vegas trip, so I haven't had a chance to listen to the recap show yet, but I'm excited to do that as soon as I get back or while I'm on the road. But just a few quick thoughts about this first episode. I was really surprised at how many players I actually ended up liking that I wasn't sure based on the bios I was going to like. One of those being Missy. I really liked her story, and based on her bio, I wasn't really sure I was going to like her, but her story was really amazing, and I am actually rooting for her among a couple of others. I like Janet's strength and how she was able to make fire from bamboo, which I didn't even know was possible. And I'm rooting for Jamal. I have a couple of different favorites, no clear-cut favorite yet, but I was actually happy to see Ronnie go. He kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I wasn't really liking him too much, so I was happy with the vote out. And I'm excited to see how this twist plays out. I liked it initially, but we'll see kind of how that goes. Other than that, I'm excited to hear what all the other listeners have to say, and of course what you have to say. And yeah, thanks for all you do, and until next time, bye.
All right, thank you, Krystle.
You and I were talking about, I wonder what Janet thought at home watching the episode and seeing that when Dan was working on her back, he was actually dripping sweat on her.
It was just pouring off. Yeah, and that's why Kelly was concerned. Yeah. Yeah. All right, okay, Krystle, I got 2 more fire-making methods that'll just blow your mind then if you didn't know about the bamboo saw. Number 1, look up the fire piston. It's like pure magic. And then number 2, look up the Rudiger roll. That'll leave you scratching your head. Okay, next up, we got a call from Nicola.
Hey, guys. Okay, it's Nicola from Lexington, and I just wanted to send a quick message while I am on the road over to help my friend with a yard sale. Not my most looked forward to event. Loved the episode, loved everybody's feedback, and the Jabbik and everything else was awesome. It's also awesome to follow Eliza's little trip down south in our beautiful state last week or so when she went and did a live audition. That was fabulous. Yeah, so loved the season, loved the episode. I was actually quite surprised about the Rob and Sandra content. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed them listening to in on Tribal Council. Of course, it made me laugh at Sandra's talking about how she votes and everything. I liked pretty much all the characters on the season. I was a bit dubious about Chelsea. She was really the only one who kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I listened to the interviews and preseason stuff, but I didn't notice it so much when I watched the other night. I was so relieved. I really wanted to pick Elaine for my USB because, well, you know, Kentucky, but I went with Molly instead. But I really didn't want her to go home, so I'm glad she dodged that bullet, and hopefully she can stay in the majority alliance now moving forward. And, yeah, we had a great summer here. We went to Colorado, which was beautiful. I filled my summer with International Survivor. I don't know if anybody else watches, but South Africa and Australia were on all through the summer, so I actually only went a week with no Survivor, so that was great. And also I did watch Alone, Stacey. I know you had mentioned it, and that was amazing set in the Antarctic. It was just, I can't even imagine how cold that was. And Joanne, for you, I watched The Amazing Race Canada. If you can get your hands on it, it was well worth it. It was a lot of fun. So there we are. That's what we got going on here. We can't wait to get really into this season of Survivor. I'm wondering about the names, pulling the names out of the bag for going to see Sandra and Rob. Maybe what they'll do, they'll just have different scenarios. Once you've been, obviously your name is no longer in that bag. And then maybe once you get voted out, they'll just take your name out of the bag. But those bags keep going around so that maybe everybody will end up getting a chance to go to Island of the Idols. I don't know. That would be kind of cool. So, yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Can't wait to hear everybody's voices. It's so good to be back. Thanks for everything that you do, Joanne and Stacy. Have a good one. Cheers.
All right. Thanks, Nicola.
You're going to find that for me, baby?
Going to find that?
The Amazing Race.
Oh, Amazing Race Canada? Sure, yeah, we'll find it.
Okay.
Just remind me. Thanks, Nicola. Looking forward to hearing you and Jackson again sometime soon, too. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my Survivor friends. This is Rashmi from Perth. Finally, the Survivor season has started. I watched it last night and it was absolutely brilliant. Now tell me, in this day and age, 39 seasons of Survivor, who goes to play Survivor that has not learned how to practice making fire? I find that totally unbelievable. So I was really surprised that Elizabeth didn't know how to make fire. Her eyes were popping out. Oh my God. And the way she went about it all, I was like, really? And then, of course, she goes against Boston Rob, which I could see that maybe she felt that she didn't have much to lose. You know, the very first tribal, if she didn't get to vote, at least she got to go against Boston Rob and lose. But if she would have won, she would have got an idol. I just thought that when she went back to the tribe and she lied, couldn't she have come up with something better and just give them a little bit more, because they're going to eventually all find out. So that was my quibble about Elizabeth and her popping eyes and her not making fire before she went there. Look at Janet. She was brilliant. Hey, she was going on Survivor. She's a fan. She knew how to make fire. And Janet was very impressive. Well done, Janet. Dan, oh, how awful is that man? I just hate strange people, especially men, yucky, touching me. I can just see where poor Kelly and Molly were at. And, oh, he had a head on her. Oh, that was gross. I just loved Sandra and Rob, especially at the tribal and their little comments. I think that was really cute. And my girl Karishma got her very first confessional, which was great. Elaine, I know everybody's loving Elaine, but I just find her a little bit annoying, and she comes across to me as one of that person who tries to be very friendly, I'm your best friend, and will be the first one to stab you. I've met people like that enough. So, I'm not charmed by Elaine or her knickers. And didn't get a vote out, but I got 4 points. I'm happy with that. And looking forward to the next episode. I've got to still think as to who will be voted out. I'm never right, so it doesn't matter. Okay, see you all. Waiting to hear from the rest of you. Bye.
All right, thanks, Rashmi. Wow. Not charmed by Elaine or her knickers.
Well, Elaine's going to lose her knickers soon if she loses any weight.
Definitely. I don't know if that came through. You were reacting to the thunder that just came across. It was very deep and low. I don't know if the mic...
windy, the trees are whipping, and it's thundering really loudly.
Thundered right at your proclamation there on Elaine, Rashmi. I don't know if that means anything, so it could be significant.
Well, I know that probably sounds funny to most people, but, we haven't seen any rain much, or we haven't had any weather like this in months.
Yeah.
So we don't get a lot of rain here.
It stops raining. So, yeah, we've had one rain a couple weeks ago, I think,
slept
briefly. Yeah, you didn't even know what happened. But
it rained.
This was quite loud just now.
Well, it wasn't that much of a rain, but we might be getting some tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, that was intense. Okay, moving on. We got an email from Caleb in Texas.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hope y'all are doing well. So here are my thoughts from episode 1. What a great first impressions on the cast. I'm pumped for this group of people. I enjoyed many of them and was excited to see a full cast of newbies again. My thoughts on the Island of the Idols were really good. I don't think it will intrude too much on the season, and I think it will work out well. Some of my favorite moments from the episode occurred when Elizabeth was so surprised to see them there, and when Boston Rob and Sandra were listening in at Tribal Council. I bet they were having a blast. For the first vote out, I expected to see Vince get jousted and got caught off guard when Ronnie was blindsided. I'm sad because I remembered last minute to do JSFL, but it was sadly closed. I'll just not have a USB into the merge, I suppose. Anyways, thank you for such a great podcast. I'll be back next week. Thanks. All right, and thank you, Caleb.
It happens, even with all the warnings.
Deadline's the same every week, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time.
All right, thanks, Caleb. Next up, we got a call from LeAnn.
Hi guys, it's LeAnn from California. Well, I did not expect it, but I am loving the Island of the Idols theme. As always, I love Boston Rob. I could watch him all day long. And he and Sandra make a really good team of being badass. It's no, come over here, dear, and hear my words of wisdom. No, it's, what were you thinking? Or this is the way to do it in this game or you're going to die. It's awesome. And I love the Heidi Hole Shack Above Tribal Council and hearing Rob and Sandra's commentary. I don't regret the time taken away from the gameplay at all. As for the players and how my Jabbok predictions played out, I had originally really disliked Elizabeth, but she grew on me as I watched her interact with Rob and Sandra. As for Tom, he wasn't quite as annoying as I thought he'd be. And Janet, I was leery of how she would play out since older players usually just stand in the background, but she jumped right into the game with her awesome fire-making skills, so I'm pulling for her to make it far. As for Dan's ookiness, it was not a surprise, and it was amusing to watch Kelly's revulsion over it. But I was surprised that she talked to him about it. I didn't think she had it in her to try and resolve things like that. Ronnie going out first was not a surprise, and I think AA Ron is going next. I think the Nora previews are a red herring, at least for now. I'm pleased to see she's getting a loser edit, though, because I really disliked her from the beginning. As for my USB Missy, so far I'm happy with my pick. Although she didn't get a lot of airtime, but at this point in the game, that's probably a good thing. So that's it for me. For now, I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone else has to say, and happy Survivor watching, everyone. Bye.
All right, thanks, LeAnn.
I guess one thing I was a little bit surprised by is when one of the times we rewatched it, I noticed that when Kelly was talking with Dan and bringing it up, she was out alone, it looked like, on the beach, just him and her, and she was in her undies. She didn't have, her outer clothes on. I just thought, and she looked very comfortable. And I just thought that was odd that if she were that uncomfortable that she chose to talk to him. Maybe it just came up spontaneously and, she hadn't planned to talk to him or something. But I thought that was just odd if you felt that kind of weird about it. And it seemed like she handled it well. But anyway, that was just an observation.
Okay. I got no comment on that.
All righty.
Next up, we got a call from Taz.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Taz in Louisiana. I'm so glad that our favorite show is on again. I think this is going to be a really good season. It seems that we have a well-rounded cast this time. The usual stereotypical group of weaker or older players that make easy early boot picks seem to have a lot of game. Wendy and Vince don't seem to be nearly as helpless as I imagined they would be. Janet, the older woman, is a lifeguard and strong swimmer. She made fire as soon as they landed on the beach with bamboo. I would love to see Boston Rob go head-to-head with her in a fire-making challenge without Flint. I think she might just be his Miss Finland. Tom, the older man, is athletic and looks like he could bench press AA Ron. And speaking of AA Ron, he is nothing like I thought he would be. He really rubbed me the wrong way and is skating on thin ice right now. Possibly the next to go home. Ronnie, he's about as smarmy as they come. Pair him up with AA Ron and you get Smarm and Smarmier. I guess they are the first power couple to be broken up in this season of Survivor Finland. Fiji. It was a very interesting challenge, and I too thought, why don't they unwind more rope? What went wrong with the puzzle part of the challenge? The purple tribe just assembled theirs like they had an instruction manual in front of them. The orange tribe must have had the other portion of the instruction manual that's printed in Spanish. What a blowout. I hope the ones that worked on the puzzle aren't the best and the brightest that the orange tribe has to offer. I am glad that the IOI, Island of the Idols, portion didn't overwhelm the episode. I just don't buy into that Rob is one of the best players ever. Sure, He's a proficient liar, and he can make fire. Let's get real. Anyone that played the game once, twice, or even 3 times and won is a better player than Rob. And when he did win, it was because CBS had the deck stacked with Rob zombies. Had there been any real competitors in the mix, he probably wouldn't have won. Winning advice from Rob? Married a winner? Okay, enough on that. Tribal Council was fun, and I enjoyed seeing the first blind side of the season. Bye, Ronnie. Maybe it wasn't the smartest move for the strength of the tribe, and I think they'll be returning to Tribal Council again next week, where we may see Aaron go home. Get ready. A tribe swap is a-coming. As always, thank you guys and everyone that contributes to the podcast. Taz in Louisiana, over and out.
Oh, Taz, you're cracking us up, man. Good to have you back. Good to have your voice. Yeah, that swap is coming, isn't it? Don't get comfortable. Next up, we got a call from Sophie.
Hi, Survivor fans. Hi, Joanne and Stacey. This is Sophie in Texas. Sorry, this is the first time I'm participating. I was rushing. I wasn't prepared for the season to start, and I spent all of Monday and Tuesday just cramming in all these interviews, and I didn't watch any videos. I had no idea what these people actually looked like. I just went by what they sounded like, their interviews. However, last week I had logged in and just chosen. In case I didn't have time to choose a winner, I went by the smile. So I had put in Ronnie to win. Thankfully, right before the show, like 3:30 on Wednesday, I went in and I remembered that I liked Lauren's interview. It was between Jamal, the 4th grade teacher, and Karishma. I quite liked her interview too, but I went with Lauren. She just had a lot of energy and spunk, and I don't know, she was very happy. Hopefully she will go far. Yeah, so I changed it to Lauren, and my son, he chose Jack just by what he looks like, his face, and he liked that he was a young guy, so we'll see. I was disappointed that they didn't get to jump off the boat and grab bananas and mangoes and everything else. That always looks really crazy and fun. I don't want to starve the first day. The challenge was great, but it was painful. We were screaming when everybody was sliding down, getting those burns and rubs. How on earth do they not get splinters and that skin torn off? I'm liking the older women. I think they're doing great. Missy and Chelsea are just getting under my skin. I don't like them too much. But Dan, I would probably be just like him if I was on the on the island, clicking people's backs and massaging them. I'm trained in all of that, and I think it's relaxing. Yeah, he should have asked permission, I guess. Kelly, I had her voting out first, but yeah, she already annoys me. I think she'll be next. Or Nora, she's just annoying as well. Health fitness freak. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it. Actually, we were like, there's nothing to watch when Survivor's starting. And then, yeah, bam, it was right this week. So it's exciting. It's good to hear all of your voices and hope everybody does well. Take care and see you soon. Bye.
Oh, so good to hear your voice again, Sophie. Good job.
Yeah, I'm with Sophie. I'd probably be doing that too.
That's different though.
That's what I do. I know. I believe it is, because guys can't get away with it as much.
It's very, very different. And how you go about it is different. And yeah, anyway. I mean, you could certainly do it aggressively as a woman and then cause problems too. But that's different. I didn't see there was no nurturing vibe that we could perceive, at least through the TV. And granted, that's very a limited spectrum to view it
it's
through.
harder to do that.
But that's just not there. And well, there's plenty more feedback about Dan. So let's keep going. Next up, we got an email from Matt in Ohio, and we just lost power here. Okay. Well, laptop's still going, so we're on battery. We're fine. Howdy, Joanne and Stacy. Oh, it's back, isn't it? I think was it the screen?
It was just the TV screen.
Oh, okay.
The other lights didn't go out.
There we go.
Just a little overreaction,
I lost the roster.
Baby.
I lost the roster.
I lost the roster. Oh, no, the power went out.
There we go. I conflated it. Okay, let's go back to Matt. Howdy, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor Fans podcast family. First time with feedback, but a long-time listener. All right, welcome. I've been watching Survivor since season 1, but don't know if I qualify as a super fan. I'd say you check that box, sir. I love to watch Survivor. It is my favorite show on television, but I'm not a person who can always remember the names of all the seasons, players, locations, and stuff. Yeah,
Me neither.
we're not gatekeeping it. I think you're fine. Enough about me. What a great season premiere. I'm digging the cast overall, but already have my early favorites in Elaine, Molly, Janet, Jamal, Tom, and Touchy-Feely Dan, my USB. Uh-oh. I listened to Josh Wigler's interviews, and Dan really resonated with me, and I liked the way he said he was going to approach the game. That was before he became Touchy-Feely Dan. I think it was just a little bit of early season drama, and he'll learn from the talk with Kelly, and he'll be fine. All right, I like your
he may well be.
Positive outlook. Yeah, except for there's one part where he was relating what she was telling him to being liked. And it's not about being liked. It's about...
But he said that. I'm not going to take it as they don't like me.
Yeah, it's just that he went down that... He took that fork in the road to the liked part.
Yeah.
So he's saying he's not doing that, but that's probably because he did that and that he's... Anyway, all right, let's get back. Boston Rob and Sandra's advice for Elizabeth to trust your gut was horrible advice. It works for them. They're proven winners. And if you've got great game sense, then yeah, trust your gut. But I don't think Elizabeth does, and clearly she doesn't. She was starstruck or excited or wasn't thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead of what the consequences of losing to Rob would cost her. She was blown away when Rob made fire and was like, what? With big eyes as saucers. With eyes as big as saucers. Did I get that backwards? And then still challenged him to fire making. Then her gut told her to lie about what the Island of the Idols consisted of. I would have went with a 90-10 truth to lie ratio here because others will be going to that island. I feel like she pulled it off for now, but what was the gain? Knowledge is power, like she said, and pretty soon her tribe will have the knowledge that she lied to them. What was Nura thinking telling Jason his name was being thrown around? She was on the side of the numbers and could have stayed low, but after seeing drama on the next time on Survivor clip, she may be the next one out. If not her, I'm feeling Aaron, Kelly, or Jason. My first one out this week was Tom. I'd actually like him to make it to the merge now. I didn't like him preseason because of the rumor he may have spilled some beans. I really hope those rumors aren't true. I really liked the tribal council with Rob and Sandra listening in. That was cool. I was almost certain Elaine was going, so glad it didn't go that way. Ronnie was my least favorite member, and I was glad to see him go. He can add Survivor to his long list of former jobs now. Bye-bye. Final note, how did Jeff not fall off that helicopter? Didn't look like he was strapped in, but he had to be. Anyways, SFP's my favorite podcast, and Joanne and Stacy, you're the best. Can't wait for next week. Thank you, Matt. That's quite the compliment, and we appreciate it. And there has been specials. I don't know if it's still around, but I remember they did a segment on him hanging outside the helicopter and
and on top of that big steep cliff thing.
Right, and how they have him secured harness. I was trying to think of the word harness. So, yeah, he's got a harness on under his clothes, and he's harnessed when he's hanging out the side of the helicopter. So he's not going anywhere when that happens, but it does look dramatic.
It would still be. I couldn't do that.
Well, you have an extreme fear of heights.
That I do.
I have a fear of heights, too, but I think you could probably pull it off for a little while. He's looking at the camera. He's not looking at the ground.
Not me.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Okay, thanks, Matt. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Anastasia. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. Right when I said I'm going to get my stuff together this season, totally spaced it today, and Charlie just 2 minutes ago said, hey, we forgot to do our recordings. That's how it goes. I thought it was a good premiere, and I'm actually really liking this cast. They're not all a bunch of beautiful models or actors. They're just kind of average people, which I think is really refreshing. Yeah, so my first out pick turned out to be the MVP. Janet, her name, she and Elaine are tied for winner of the week. Really impressed with that. Loser of the week, just going to give that to Ronnie because obvious reasons. Dude was first out. Didn't see it coming. And, yeah, it was a great premiere, though. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the Javik. Enjoyed, just getting back into Survivor. Actually, my mother-in-law's in town. She watched it with me, and she was kind of into it, so that was kind of fun. I don't think she'd watched it much before. So the big announcement that I was going to tell you is we have the newest Survivor fan in our family, born 5 days ago. His name is Felix, and he hasn't watched Survivor yet, but we're going to get right on that. So that's been our life for the last week or so. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys next time, and have a good weekend. Bye.
Congratulations and welcome, Felix, and tell Charlie we said thank you for reminding Dad. Good job, Charlie.
Good job, Julie.
The real heavy lifter. Okay.
Yeah, that was a big boy.
Yeah. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and that was pretty good. That was a pretty good premiere. The Island of the Idols actually worked. And also, it's hilarious that they get to hide in spy shacks and watch the castaways during tribal council. That is amazing. Oh, wow. I really liked this first challenge. I thought it was pretty cool. I knew Orange Tribe was going to lose because not Tom Laidlaw. Tom Laidlaw did not spoil this for me. CBS did. CBS showed up one of those, Survivor's gonna be right back after these messages. And you're like, okay, TV. But then it showed us the Orange Tribe getting their fire at tribal council, putting their torches in the flames. What? Why would you do that? Wow, obvious. Of course that was an accident. It showed it like 3 times, but it showed it before even the challenge. It wasn't even the commercial break before the challenge. Like, it was really early in. I could not believe that. Like, who let that slip? Survivor is usually so good about these things, and they just went, well, there you go. Whoops. My first impressions, I feel like some of them held up. Some of them obviously did not, because I thought Ronnie had lots of potential, which honestly I didn't think it was that bad until at Tribal and he was being coach, talking about all the things he's done in life, and you're like, what? Are you the last in the Mohegans? Did you have a run-in with Crocodile? Are you the Dragon Slayer? I don't think so. It was just so weird. I picked Molly as my USB. She didn't do anything bad in this episode. Pretty solid. She got herself in a majority alliance. Nice go. I like Jamal. Jamal was pretty good in this episode as well. Tommy didn't do anything harmless. So, like, most people I picked, pretty good. Most people, I was like, they're gonna do good. Did good. So that makes me happy. I was very high on Aaron. I still am. But he in trouble. I think he has the potential of being a villain of the season. I didn't get that vibe from him, but he might be. And that excites me because we haven't had a good villain in a while. Even though this premiere was 90 minutes, it felt really short. I liked it. I like that it's 90 minutes. Every episode should be 90 minutes. Like, it was great. Really liked the editing, the back and forth between the tribes. We got to know a lot of people. Got to know Elaine. Which Elaine, whew, I love Elaine, man. Elaine is great. That was way too close for comfort. I picked Vince as my vote off, and that was close. He had 2 votes, so I was cool with that. But Elaine being the first one out, that would have been terrible. Since it was Ronnie, that's hilarious. Because not only was he first one out, but he was also a poker player. So that brings the reputation of poker players on Survivor down even more. Yeah, this got me excited for this season. Hopefully next time it's the Purple Tribe that loses, and I'm hoping Nora gets voted out. Alright, that's all I got. I will see you guys next time.
Good job, Parker. Glad to hear you enjoyed it so much. Yeah, 24 minutes in, they spoiled it. Joanne didn't see it. She was like taking notes, and I just saw that, and I went, okay, you just spoiled it.
I said, don't tell me.
Yeah, that was annoying. And like
you didn't
Parker
realize
said,
I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, they did it 2 more times. Man, just what a knucklehead move. In any case, thanks again, Parker. Moving on, we got a call from SlappyMcGee.
Hey, Joanna Stacy, it's SlappyMcGee. Just calling you about the Survivor Island of the Idols. Okay, so maybe this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I do not like this whole conceit. I'm not a fan so far. The first episode did not convince me that I was wrong in my dislike. I really didn't enjoy it. I mean, I'll never not like Survivor. It's still fun, but hey, what happened with the whole marooning? And it was never addressed. I mean, they talked about it. We didn't get our marooning, but no reason was ever given as to why they didn't maroon them. And that sounds weird to me. I don't get it. And maybe there was a problem and they just didn't address it. Who knows? But it was a little troublesome to me. So that was one problem. And then the other problem is that you're glorifying Boston Rob and Sandra, and I get it, and they're trying to look for some other way to get people to the Survivor, but just trust that it's going to be fine. You have these people competing against Rob for Fire Challenge, and what's Sandra going to do? So they're going to compete against her in a staring challenge, maybe? I don't know. So I'm interested to see what else they have with that, because right now it's kind of underwhelming. I would have told, when Elizabeth went by, I would have told, because she's eventually going to come out, that she was lying to him, and that can only hurt you. So I would have told him everything about that deal if I was Elizabeth, who I think I have as my USB. Pretty sure I have Elizabeth. Yeah, she's the Olympic swimmer girl. Did pick Ronnie to stay for some reason and messed up, so I only got 3 points this week. But I'm still coming for you, Stacey. Coming for you. Going to get you. I want to address the whole thing with Dan and his touching stuff, and the girl's not feeling very comfortable, and touchy Magoo there. He's a casting agent, right? He's a town agent, casting agent. Him touching people doesn't seem like the thing that would be too unfamiliar with a casting agent. Just saying that that guy kind of creeps me out. Hope he goes soon. Kind of like this cast. Some interesting personalities coming through, and I hope someone steps to the front. I think I picked Janet to be voted out first, and I was wrong with that. But now, upon seeing her, I think I was completely wrong about her in general. She's pretty tough, and I hope that she continues through. I like a lot of these people. I like Jack. He was kind of fun, and I liked Tom, Vladimir Putin-looking guy. Doesn't he look like Putin? He does to me. And Elaine, especially. Of course, we like Elaine. I'm glad that she did put it out. But I'm rooting for Elizabeth. There you go. Thanks for the show, the good job you guys do, and I hope it gets better. I'm not going to stop watching, because I can't quit you, Survivor. You know Survivor. I can't quit you. All right, guys. Take care. Love you out.
All right. Thanks, Slappy. Tom absolutely does look like a thicker Vladimir Putin. Oh, and Probst said that as it pertained to getting rid of the marooning and all that, it came early on in the design of this season. This is in the Q&A that he does with Dalton Ross each week. He said that they really wanted people to focus in on the theme and start to wonder what that was about, so they decided to bail on the marooning so that all they would have would be that title on the banner there, Island of the Idols. Yeah, and there's more details if you want them in that parade article that Mike Bloom did as to what variety we might expect to see from Rob and Sandra. But yeah, I think they're going to have a lot of different things. I don't think we'll see another fire-making challenge necessarily unless it comes later. Good deal. Thanks, Slappy. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
That was quite the premiere to get this whole season started. The few castaways I underestimated immediately were Elaine and Janet. Elaine is definitely a character, and I hope to see her go far. I thought Janet was probably going to be the first out, but I was quite surprised that she was the one who started the first fire for her tribe. It seems like people will never learn not to look for a hidden idol on the very first day. Isolation is the key to getting out first. The reward/immunity challenge seemed like a Survivor throwback to the old days of the show. The village puzzle looked like it had patterns that you had to match to make the piece fit in perfectly. Again, Janet impressed me with her first shot with the grapple landed. The idol island looked like a cool island, and the first idol challenge was to make fire. That made sense, and Sandra did seem helpful, but when it came to challenging Rob for an advantage, why would you do that? Rob has been a master of making fire, and it makes no sense to challenge a master. This brings a new segment that I'm going to do this season, and that is, would I or wouldn't I take the challenge on? And this round, I wouldn't have. Speaking of Rob and Sandra, they have a tribal treehouse to call their own, and that was neat to see. Ronnie's vote out was surprising, and I can't wait to see what may happen next. All right, thanks, Jack. Up next, we have an audio from Carolyn.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Carolyn from the beautiful Bronx. Took a few years off, and none of the seasons really grabbed me enough to leave feedback, but this one has, with only one day. Wow. I just love the diversity of the cast, diversity of ages, groups, weight, experiences. Someone say pay lip service is diversity, but this time it really is. Congrats to Vince for being the first Laotian American on the series, as far as I know. A few bullet points. glad that Ronnie is gone, because when him and Aaron were on the screen, I really couldn't tell them apart. I think Aaron has a mole on his nose. Other than that, pretty twin-looking, so I'm glad that Ronnie's gone. He seemed a little too slimy anyway. I hear later he wasn't feeling well, so that's a shame, but, then them's to break. Molly has the most gorgeous hair on the entire cast. Hope that stays that way so we can look at it, because it is really so beautiful. But I think Missy is the prettiest girl in the cast. Like some people in my family, she's an airman, so go airman. I can be touchy-feely sometimes, too, but first day, please don't lie on my legs with your head. It's a bit much, really. That's a lot to ask for someone you just met, It's only like around day 10 that you're lying around the shelter like a pile of puppies. Other than that, welcome back to Fiji. I hope they use a bit more Fijian culture this time. I have to say, the tribal set is beautiful, but that idol is hideous. It looks like they started to carve it out and then just gave up 5 minutes in. I think I'm going to enjoy the season because of Sandra and Boston Rob. It's so great to see them there. I think they're really using them well. I must say I had my fears about them. When I heard that they were going to be in the show, I had my worries about how gimmicky it would be, how they'd be using them, but so far it's so good. And I love when they start with Waldorf Tribal Council. Okay, thanks for all you do. Bye.
All right. Great to have you back, Carolyn. Good job. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. Well, I'm glad Survivor's back. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad the episode was an hour and a half. And I actually am glad that they have this Rob and Sandra concept. I thought that the hour and a half gave us enough time so that when we were on the Island of the Idols, it didn't take away from what was going on back at camp. I thought last season, anytime they spent on the Extinction Island, I just was annoyed because it was taking us away from what was happening back at camp. And I didn't care about raising the white flag. I didn't care about any competition. I just wanted to go back and find out who was strategizing and what was happening. I thought when Elizabeth got to the Island of the Idols, she did learn a valuable lesson, but it wasn't the one that she thought. Sure, learning how to build a fire is important, but learning to trust your gut is even more. And I thought that that was a good point that they made. Coming back without a vote could have been her downfall, so she was very lucky that her vote really didn't matter. And by the way, what would have happened at the final tribal council if the votes had been 5-4? Wouldn't Jeff have had to reveal that the last vote was a no vote? And if he had done that, then Elizabeth would have been maybe blamed for not helping the team carry on their plan, and at the same time they would know that she had been lying. When Ron the Weasel was voted out, it showed that the Women's Alliance is strong so far. They added 3 men to it, and so Aaron's going to be the one, I think, in trouble regardless of whether he wants to change or not. And by the way, I thought it was interesting that both Ron and Aaron talked deceptively at Tribal Council. They were sort of explaining how they cared about who they were voting for, but honestly, from what they said in confessionals and how they acted, it didn't seem like that to me. Also, when Elaine got emotional and talking about hardship, and then Ron comes up with talking about working in McDonald's, I thought, boy, talk about someone who doesn't have empathy for other people. It's as if Missy talked about her brain tumor, and then somebody piped up afterwards, yeah, and one time I sprained my ankle. I'm glad that this season is going the way it is so far. Other things I'm glad about is that we have teams of likable players. They don't have super buff bodies, and once they're voted off, they're voted off. Can't wait to hear what the other viewers have to say, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Yeah, great points. Good job. Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Rodney.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans everywhere. It's Rodney from Illinois. It's been a whole season since I've been able to leave feedback, so I will say I have listened. I listened all through last season, and I've listened to the Javik. It's just getting my nurse practitioner and some life events, and the kiddos have kept me really, really busy and banging my head against the wall trying to get through school. But I would like to leave some feedback on episode 1. Overall, the theme, I think it's going to be okay, even though it's already starting to look like it's the Rob and Sandra show. None of the contestants actually stood out to me. I did listen to some of the preseason, I think Jamal, and pretty much the only one that I remember by name. I knew I didn't like Ronnie, so I was happy to see him go. I do think there was some interesting gameplay by Elaine to not try to steer around the storm, but to go straight at it when she realized that Ronnie was going to target her. That was pretty smart, pretty intuitive. A lot of other players will try to steer around or actually go through with a redirect. I think because she gave him such a strong push towards voting for anybody that allowed Ronnie to kind of rethink his hand. You know, he's got bluff to his face, good poker skills right there. Overall, it was a good episode. I'm an Eagle Scout. I was a Boy Scout for many years. I've made many fires with flint and steel. Never made it with magnesium, but I'm pretty confident in my skills to make a fire if I had to. I've probably made as many fires in my life as Boston Rob has, but I don't even think I would go against him in a fire building challenge after watching him make fire in a matter of seconds. That didn't seem very intelligent, especially if she went off and practiced on her own and couldn't make fire for a little while without Sandra helping her. Didn't make any sense to risk that, especially in the early game, and she could have found herself at the bottom of the numbers. She just got lucky that the tribe was kind of half split and a little bit on a negative Ronnie train. But all in all, I'm kind of eager to see how some of these other competitions go with Boston Rob and Sandra. Maybe we can see somebody turn down an offer and see what this up the ante Rob has kind of half mentioned. I don't like watching the tribal through Rob and Sandra. To me, that takes away a little bit of the intimacy of the tribal. I think that the tribal council for the tribe is very important because it helps them develop a strategy moving forward. And if somebody from the opposite tribe comes through and there's a swap or something happens, now Rob and Sandra are put in a place where they have extra information to give to a player that hasn't seen tribal council, and it kind of washes that line for me. But we'll have to see how that plays out going forward. I do think that we will have a female winner this season because we have a lot of strong women personalities, and the only thing I worry is when we see a all-women's alliance come together, they tend to fall apart. I'm just hoping that we can see an all-women's alliance go the distance. I'm super happy to see some diversity in the cast. It is cool to see a variety of people from all different walks of life. So thank you guys for all that you do. It's good listening to you. You guys help me get through the work and school week and the family week. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Rodney. Great to have you back. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, okay, episode 1 is in the books, and I'm breathing again. Rob and Sandra can't compete. They won't be judges, and there are some interesting folks in the cast. It makes me wish that I'd had time and energy to do more than just listen to Jabbik before the season started. Here are my other observations. If the producers insist on having 20 newbies, they should make them wear name tags. With all the twigs and leaf litter closely surrounding Janet's fire, I'm surprised she didn't burn down their camp. Yeah,
that's true.
It looked like it could have gone up at any second there. It was quite the mess. I know, as impressive as it was really poorly planned. I noticed a few familiar first episode tropes. The over-eager idol searcher who gets targeted, the lazy 7 versus 3 alliance proposal, and the person with poor limits awareness who rubs people the wrong way, literally in Nancy Dan's case. Vokai is lucky that Jack only had a dying clam instead of a proper water pistol. Hollywood manager Dan was probably hoping for more mactors in the cast. Yeah. I love that Elaine has a fully functioning weasel detector. I noticed the extra rope in the challenge and wondered why nobody tried to use it. Given their performance in the challenge, the only Huts Lyro should mess with are Pizza Huts. Call me a cynic, but were there really 10 names in the bag? Usually they draw rocks and reveal the odd one out. An article I read said that Rob and Sandra rehearse their speeches the night before someone visits. So, if Rob and Sandra, I don't know why they were rehearsing. You could clearly see Rob reading off that paper when he was talking to Elizabeth. If Rob and Sandra didn't have big heads before, they sure do now. I'm betting that Rob and Sandra have a Rolodex of predefined lessons and duels and use the hierarchy of needs to figure out which to use. The way Probst explained it was that they came up with scenarios, and Rob and Sandra helped do that. They helped contribute to them, and then they expanded on them a little bit. So they got to play a little bit of a role in production too. Is it me, or is Rob auditioning to replace Jeff when he's had enough of hosting? Yeah, I can see why you'd think that. I heard that a number of cast members were almost cast in prior seasons. Given the mentoring theme, I wonder if they were cast for their perceived defects. Rob and Sandra in their tribal council duck blind reminded me of Statler and Waldorf in their Muppet Show balcony. Absolutely. The alternate title for the season should be Survivor for Dummies. I can see Rob and Sandra being witnesses or prosecutors at final tribal council. Ronnie and Debbie, how do you say that? Debbie Warner should go on a date. They can regale each other with tales of all the jobs they've had. Anyway, that's it from me for now. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Kyle.
Hello, Joanna and Stacy and all the Survivor fans at home. This is Kyle from Calgary, Canada, calling, provide some feedback with week 1 episode of Survivor, Island of the Idols. And it's good to be back. It's good to have the Survivor fans podcast back to listen to and to hear all the feedback from the other super fans. So again, appreciate everything you do. The show's not the same without it, so thanks. Appreciate it. On to this episode. I really liked it. It was a good 90-minute opening episode. I liked the start without having the awkward talk at the mat. And, I like that they got right into it. I thought that was really cool. The gimmick itself, I guess I'm fine with it. I'm not quite sure how this might build over time. Hopefully it will actually provide some advantage or disadvantage or something to the players. After the tutorial that he gave, after she challenged it, it made for kind of interesting TV, but I don't know what she was thinking, challenging him to fire making after she just learned it literally 30 seconds before. So maybe some overconfidence there, but I guess fortune favors the bold, and maybe that was her mindset on that. The funny thing about this show or this particular season is that the gimmick, there's a chance, and it's a pretty good chance, it already happened with Ronnie, that they might get voted off and their whole Survivor experience might be over before they even realize that there is a gimmick. And I think that's quite funny. So that might be interesting to see how that plays out. For the most part, as long as they stay kind of in their weird tree blind and they don't affect the game too much, it might be neat to see how they could affect the individual games of the castaways. On to Ronnie. I'm glad that he got voted out. I didn't have any good opinion of him. Poker player, seems to maintain the weaselly image, kind of the two-faced liar. So I mean, I was happy that Elaine was able to pick that out, to call it what it was, and I'm glad that she didn't go home because she's fun to watch. So I'm good with that. On the other tribe, not the orange tribe, I have to say Dan, the talent manager, wow, he is one old creepy dude. It made me uncomfortable to see what he was doing with those girls, and I wasn't even there. So I don't know. I'm not sure why anyone feels that it's okay to do that. Maybe in time, people become close, and there is that level of, intimacy that you sort of gain with close people when you're camping with them. But friggin' boundaries, dude. Like, you got to know it, and it's super gross. And it actually kind of makes me a little bit upset that the young ladies almost had to apologize because they were uncomfortable. No, you don't apologize for that. You tell somebody. If you're uncomfortable, you tell someone. You don't spare their feelings. My goodness, this is crazy that sort of happened on there, and they really should work to take care of that, because that was really, I don't know, I didn't like it at all. I've told my daughter 100 times, if you're uncomfortable with something, you tell people, and you stand up for yourself, and you don't apologize for it. Hopefully that subsides, but it was weird. The lifeguard lady, I thought it was so funny. I mean, good for her for making fire. That was a big deal, but I also thought it was sort of funny that at the end of the challenge, her smug look, just playing to the camera, just waiting for Jeff to say, oh, you don't need this, you already got fire, and just for her to be like, yep, I did it. It's funny because if she's banking on that for her to stick around, sorry, you just got replaced by flint and magnesium, so don't get too high on your horse. Thanks again for all you do. Looking forward to next week, and we'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.
All right, Kyle from Canada, Calgary, Canada, with the balance there. Don't get the big head, Janet. I don't think she did, so she tried to attribute her helpers there too, but that's
you
funny.
Never know when somebody will lose the flint.
Good deal. Thanks, Kyle. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hello, everyone. This is Justin from Michigan. I thought the twist went really well, better than I expected. I think it's going to add a really unique element going forward. We have people going there, and then the hysteria back at camp. Do they have an idol? Do they have an advantage? And how they play that will be really interesting going forward. Two players that stood out to me, Elaine and Janet. So Janet, I picked her to be first out. Thought she'd fall under that, older lady, first out, easy. But, she flipped the script on that. She stood out right away making fire. She dove in head first at the challenge, literally. So that's always good that she can compete in challenges. And then something that kind of flew in under the radar, I think, her social game. So the girls came up to her with their concern about Dan being all touchy-feely, and instead of fueling that fire and saying, yeah, let's get rid of Dan first chance we get, and kind of taking the target off her back, she diffused the situation. She really mature way said, go talk to him, nip it in the bud, and keep the tribe strong. So I think that's going to be really good for her going forward, that she's willing to mediate. She's willing to be the mature one in the conversation. She just has a good head on her shoulders, and that's going to help her going forward, I think, if she can stick around. So if she can get to the merge, I think she'll have the social game to go far. Elaine, she has a really tough road, but I really like her. You know, swinging around camp like Tarzan, making jokes about her weight. That's always fun to hear. And then, I really liked your Josh Wigler interview. I thought she showed off her personality really well there, too. So if she can just stick around. She showed right before tribal council that she's willing to be cutthroat, like anybody but me. And so that'll keep her around temporarily, I think. Shortly before the merge or right after the merge, she's going to be the main target again. Overall, really like the episode. Looking forward to hear what everybody else has to say. Next vote out is going to be tough for me. I don't think I'm going to go with Nora because that just seems too obvious with the way they've previewed it. So I think I'm going to go Dan or Tom. Not sure yet. But looking forward to what everybody else has to say, and maybe that'll steer my direction. All right, take care.
Excellent. Thanks, Justin. Next up, we got a call from Jody.
Hey, Survivor family, it's Jody in Brisbane. I missed Javik again. Not a lot of time to spend on that. So right before the episode, I was like, ooh, let me have a look at Paul's visual roster, and I brought it up, and oh no, because the episode had already happened. It linked me straight up to the updated version, and I got spoiled. Sly Ronnie is out, so that was a bit sad. When I tried to bring up the episode, because dinner got on the way, and it brought me straight into Rob and Sandra and Elizabeth sitting around, and that felt like it was taking forever. Then I stopped and went back and started at the beginning, and then on this rewatch it didn't seem so long, but I was a little annoyed at the time, but that was okay. I'm loving Elaine. I love her jelly belly. I even went out and tried on a bikini today and thought, can I do this? And the answer is a resounding no, but I'm liking this season. I feel like this, what are they, like leftovers from previous ones? I feel like there's not like a solid pretty person kind of presence. It's just heaps of normals, and I'm really liking that. With Rob and Sandra being there, is it like an audition for who could replace him? Because we've got part-time Probst. He's not like turned up at the beginning, which was kind of cool. We had time to spend with people rather than just him belly aching about, the theme or whatever. So yeah, I'm liking it. It's exhausting being on the back of the latest Australian Survivor, and that's kind of held me back from getting right into it. But yeah, really positive and can't wait for the next episode. No idea, as usual, what's going to happen, but yeah, see ya.
All right. Thanks, Jody. Great to hear your voice again. Next up, we got an email from Sylvia in Greece.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. I am very happy to hear your voices once again. I hope you're doing well. I enjoyed the first episode of Survivor, but I'm still undecided about my winner pick. I had chosen Jamal at first, but then I thought that he's a strong guy who will probably be evicted after the merge. Then I picked Molly because I see she has a lot of knowledge of the game. After the first episode, I'm leaning towards choosing Tommy because he's a very likable guy and everyone had nice things to say about him. So I see this as a winner edit. I liked Charisma very much as she seems down to earth and really logical. Regarding Elaine, there's nothing wrong with her, but I'm feeling we are pressured to like her, and I don't like that. Vince is a really great guy, and I believe in him, but I'm afraid he will become a liability in challenges. I had picked Nora to be voted out first because I think she is kind of crazy, so I picked her again for next week.
Understandable.
I'm happy that Ronnie left because he was really not a person I liked. I am curious to see what will happen with Dan. Have we ever had another person behaving like that? Anyway, these are my comments. Thanks for a great podcast and best wishes to you and the listeners.
So I'll go back and answer that question from Sylvia. Have we ever had another person behaving like that? Survivor Thailand, the Ted and Gandia incident.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh, okay. That it had that same vibe to it, you know, not to that point, but if you haven't seen the fourth season,
that was more directly to the point, I think.
Yeah, that was
that was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable to watch it all, and it's not just one-sided. This seemed very one-sided. That had different elements.
That's why I
to
said
it
the other one
that was
to
super
me was much worse.
I don't look back on that in a positive way. That's just like ugh.
Yeah.
That's not a season that many people actually like anyway because of the winter. But that season and that incident in it, that took a big bite out of that season for me. So yeah, has something like that happened? Yes, and worse. How's that? Okay, great to have your email there, Sylvia. Thank you for the question. Next up, we got a call from KimJ.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, this is KimJ from Nashville. I went bold on my safe picks this week. I had both Elaine and Janet safe, so I'm excited about that. I like Elaine, but I love Janet. I'm totally here for her. Love the tough old broad chick. I am not here, however, for Dan. He was actually my vote off this week. And Creepy Dan, I'm glad that Kelly at least talk to him about the touchy-feeliness. It was just really weird for me, like in this age of Me Too, and for him to come from the LA entertainment industry, for him to kind of be like that, it was just very weird for me. Right. So we'll see how that unfolds. Most of what I want to talk about is Island of the Idols. I do think that Elizabeth was a good person to go. I also was shocked that she knew who Rob and Sandra were. I realized that she is not a fan and that she didn't have a lot of time to make a decision here. But the reward was an idol that would be good at 2 tribal councils only. And she said she was in a pretty good position with her tribe, she felt like. So do you really need an idol at this point in the game that's only good for 2 tribals? And again, she hasn't seen a lot of seasons probably, so she doesn't know the history of the game. But the only time I can think of where someone played an idol early was David playing the idol for Jessica in Millennials versus Gen X. Usually it just doesn't happen. People are more likely to get voted out with an idol in their pocket than they are to play it early. Even the last couple of seasons where we had Chrissy that had the idol that was good at the first tribal, or Ron who had the advantage for the first 3 tribals, like they don't usually get used. And so it just wasn't a good reward, despite the fact that you're not going to beat Rob in a fire-making challenge anyway. So I am curious going forward, once we get a fan that goes out there, what their response is going to be. And the other thing is her lie. So when she got off the boat, my first instinct was lie. And I probably couldn't have come up with a better lie than what she came up with the whole Ghost Island thing. But I was definitely disappointed that we didn't get anybody's reaction as to her lie. And I haven't seen any extra videos if there's clips of that or not. But I was really curious as to what they were thinking. And so I'm really interested to see, not necessarily the person from the other tribe that goes, but the next person from Elizabeth's tribe that goes and what they say when they came back. That's what I'm really wanting to see. I always saw Elizabeth as a pre-merge boot, so I'm just wondering if, maybe not this episode, but the next episode, if Elizabeth, it would be a good vote off pick, because I just can't see her coming back from this. If you think about it, usually if you go to an island early, it does not bode well for you in the game. So looking forward to hear what everybody else says.
Yeah, in Ronnie's interview, he said when he talked to her, he wasn't buying it, but there just was so little time that, there was nothing to act on. Especially.
Yes, but he's a better judge of character.
Yeah, just take that for what it's worth. It came from Ronnie, the great poker player there, the great reader of people. Thanks, KimJ. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. Well, this was a great first episode of Survivor. I loved it. I even loved the whole Boston Rob Island of the Idols segment. I'll tell you what I did not love, though. Touchy-feely Dan. My USB, come on, buddy. That was disappointing to see. Now, I have to admit, I only listened to his interview from before the season began. I guess I should have watched an interview. Maybe I could have gotten a little bit of a visual sense of what he's about. My son, when he found out I made Dan my USB, he said that's like betting on the Titanic. I said, that wasn't very nice, but it probably was right. So I don't know. I'm a little worried. I was glad that he was receptive to what Kelly had to say about how she was feeling. So I'm hoping that he takes these words of wisdom and improves his social game in that respect. But I'm also kind of thinking Survivor wouldn't have shown us that in the 43 or however many minutes they have if it wasn't going to be relevant till later. So I'm worried. I think the editors did a good job of kind of spreading the love around in terms of letting us get to know these new characters. I don't think too much time was spent on the Island of the Idols. I think just the right amount of time was spent on that. I was impressed with how Sandra and Rob handled the situation and the challenge and even the feedback after the fire challenge was done. I always considered Rob kind of condescending, but I really think he had a lot of good words to tell Elizabeth. Especially in terms of, she doesn't have to take a deal just because it's offered to her. Don't make fire against Boston Rob when you just learned how to make fire 5 minutes ago. That was good advice. Interesting that she lied about her experience, but I don't know. I kind of feel like I might have done the same thing. And then if my second tribe member had gone there and came back and said, hey, I saw Boston Rob and Sandra. Didn't you see them? I could still claim, oh, what a bummer. You got to do that? I really seriously only got the urns. I feel gypped. I really want to go back now. I kind of think Elizabeth could still sell her story as is if she really put her mind to it. I was happy to see Elaine fighting for her life right out of the gate. You got to do that. If you got to do it, you got to do it. So I was glad she pulled out all the stops, especially this early in the game. Nobody likes to be targeted like that this early in the game, especially when they're saying, you're so likable, we have to get rid of you. Oh, what a twist that she didn't want to happen, huh? Well, I think that's it for me. Looking back on the episode, I think it was just so overwhelming for me. 90 minutes of just great, great TV. I can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say and everyone else's impressions. I'm looking forward to seeing how this season continues to progress and grow and be new. And overall, I'm just glad Survivor's back and glad you all are back. Till next week. Bye.
Thanks, Jen. I was convinced that she had made a huge error, but Jen just gave her a great cover story. So
yeah,
if Elizabeth is sharp enough to pull that off to come up with something like Jen did, I guess
I think she totally could. She could do that same, oh my gosh, are you kidding now? I wouldn't do that. I think she could pull that on.
Yeah.
Now, whether they would believe her or not, but, you don't know if they believed anything anybody says. So.
True. Fair enough. Anyway, I like that spin. Good job. Jen's really good with that kind of stuff, coming up with alternate ideas.
Well, because I broke the urn. I broke an urn. Mine just had an urn set up, and maybe I didn't get to see them because I didn't pick the right thing or something. Or maybe they decided that's not going to work well to give Rob and Sandra any time, and they changed it after I was there.
Yeah, could be. All right, thanks again, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here, and I must say that this season is off to a great start because, well, I was blindsided. I really don't believe that Ronnie was any great loss, and I'm fine with this supposedly strong guy going because, well, he just rubbed me the wrong way. And I loved having a 90-minute episode, but let's face it, if you cut out that scene where Ronnie lists all of his jobs, we'd be back down to an hour. Who does he think he is, Debbie Wanner? Now, I can't talk about Ronnie without mentioning Aaron, who just isn't at all what I expected. I thought he was going to be a fan favorite, but I think not. I'm picking him to go next, and it'll be another case of the vote out being no great loss. In terms of strategy, that is. I do worry about the physical strength of Lyro, however, and therefore my USB, Missy. So let's talk about Elizabeth. I like her so much better than I thought I would, and the camera certainly loves her. Because, well, let's face it, she's got an expressive face. Should she have gone head-to-head against Rob in that fire-making match? Well, I say yes. I've lived my life accepting challenges that have come up through my years because I believe that you never gain anything if you refuse to possibly lose something. Elizabeth gave it her best and walked out without a vote. No big deal. I commend her for giving it a shot. And could you imagine if she'd have won? Isn't that a picture in your head worth that pathetic risk of losing a vote? Oh, and I have to mention Dirty Old Dan, of course. Yeah, can you say awkward? I also have a thing about people who invade my space, and to be honest, it's hard to know how to handle it when it's happening. I hope Dan can reel it in, but I think he's socially unaware of a lot of things, and that will cut him loose pretty early from his tribe. Kudos to Janet, though, for telling the girls how to handle it, and for her general greatness in the game so far. I knew I liked her, and I want her to go deep in this game. So, who was I wrong about? Well, let's see. As I said before, A.A. Ron isn't the all-around great guy I thought he'd be. Dean, well, so far he's a sweat hog. Kelly should be thanking her stars that she's dealing with Dan rather than Dean, because his perspiration would have her running through the woods screaming like one of the girls from an 80s slasher flick. And then there's Vince, who's much better than I initially thought. And you know, I'll even say that Jack wasn't bad either. But my biggest surprise is Tom. I really expected to dislike him, but he currently appears to be pretty well-rounded. I expected him to be overbearing, and I also expected him to team up with A.A. Ron and Ronnie as part of an alpha male team. I know he's older, but the man has a definite presence of, authority about him that I figured would allow him to overcome the age thing. Rather than teaming up with the obvious, he's gone down a different path, though. I think his story arc is going to be interesting to watch. Now for the biggie. What did I think of Rob and Sandra? Honestly, it wasn't painful at all. I will state for the record that I'm fine with Sandra. She's not a favorite of mine, but I don't dislike her either. Rob, on the other hand, robs me the wrong way anytime I see him. Still, it wasn't nearly as bad as I expected. He was tolerable to me, to the point where, well, so far, I'll say this is his best appearance yet. So to wrap things up, I believe that Lyra will lose again, and that A.A. Ron will reunite with his buddy Ronnie, where they can commiserate together for the next few weeks over the stupid players, while eating hamburgers and telling each other how wonderful they actually are. And that's it for me. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
How could they not want us
Right.
on their tribe?
They just doomed themselves. Doomed, I tell you. Yeah, Aaron's definitely got a thug vibe to him, and I had expected Tom to have that, but like Paul and so many others were saying, it didn't come across that way. Tom was there defending Elaine. He was calling A.A. Ron out on his obsession with getting rid of Elaine, and it helped turn the tide.
I don't know if I like him, but I don't dislike him like I thought I would.
Yeah, well, there's still time. But yeah,
true. That's why I'm reserving judgment so far.
Yeah, I enjoyed getting to hear everybody's thoughts about this first episode, and I think the real test comes this coming week in terms of the theme, though, because this is going to be 60 minutes.
Yep.
And Island of the Idols is going to take a bite out of that, and so we'll have to see how that starts to really feel, because that's what the real cost is going to be. This first one, we didn't have to feel it because they had that extra, take the commercials out 20 minutes to work with.
Yep.
So that now we'll get a better sense of what the cost, the impact, the Island of the Idols tax
on a weekly episode
is going to be coming up this week. I will warn folks that if you don't want to get spoiled about who's going to end up going to Island of the Idols, avoid the videos this week because they've already spoiled it. Just like right out of the gate. I think it was out Friday. They released a video.
I didn't want to know who went this early.
Right. And it's not telling you, I don't think it's necessarily telling you who lost the challenge. I mean, I guess technically
they're not.
It could, but it seemed to be that
they go nothing to do with the challenge.
They go early in the episode.
She was chosen. Elizabeth chose her, so it has nothing to do with the challenge.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That was only for last week. It was
in terms of that
around the challenge, but not now.
And Joanne means the general her as a reference to either he or she, I'm sure.
I don't know what I said that made you say that. So.
Her. In any case, so avoid those videos if you don't want to know. I don't know that it's that big a deal in the scheme of things.
No,
but
her Chelsea chose. That's all I mean.
Elizabeth's name is not
Elizabeth.
Chelsea.
Elizabeth. I mean Elizabeth.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and when you go back and listen, you'll realize that you structured the sentence differently. But in any case, you'll understand things if you go see that, I guess, if that's your choice. Okay, I was trying to make that point.
Now you're rambling.
Yeah, now I'm rambling. Good deal. So yeah, we definitely enjoyed getting to hear what all these different fans thought about, get their take on the first episode. And it sounds like in total, the majority's towards the really everyone enjoyed the episode, and then most people are doing okay with the theme from that perspective right now.
Yeah, that surprised me. And yet, I kind of felt that way all along, that I was open to seeing. I didn't really have a big thing, because usually the theme does sometimes cause an issue, like with the last season, but most of the time, you just move on from it.
I don't know. You just look at Ghost Island, you look at Edge of Extinction, and you go, themes can really mess things up.
Those do.
But so far, I agree with the majority. We're not having problems right now, so that's good.
Good.
Stay
good
positive.
Deal.
Yes. Hey, we want to thank everyone who took the time to send in your thoughts and predictions and your reactions, all that good stuff this week. We also want to thank Lunathan or L.U. Nathan, for your review on iTunes. Thank you very much for helping spread the good word there.
And don't forget, if you play JSFL, don't forget to get your picks in before the 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific deadline on Wednesdays.
All right. Have a good one.